Good move by, or Dark Archons, High Templars being warped in. A very, very good move on Ancient's part.
Yeah, he'll be able to use those later with their Lightning Bolt ability and their Illusion ability, which was definitely good on their part. We see that the Ancient One is actually moving in with those forces, harassing those guys. He wants to do as much damage as possible, and there goes his last Dark Templar, but he also did a good job taking out 2 buildings, making sure he harassed that enemy. We look up at the purple Terran, and we see that they aren't really doing much. They're just hanging out. Oh, and we see a science vessel along with a lot of those battle cruisers just to support them in case there's some kind of threat to them. Let's watch as they move up. It looks like they're massing to some sort of place. Oh, and it's the Nicoke's expansion. Let's see. Oh, and we notice that the purple Zerg, or the purple Terran, are really not fit for attack when it comes to aerial. His battle cruisers are just riddling through that base, and him and his ally can't really do much about it at this point. They are just sitting there taking it as it comes. Those battle cruisers are very heavily armored, and they're, if I believe so, fully upgraded, and they are just so armored up and so weapon savvy that they can pretty much take out a base without having to worry about anything. He might lose a couple battle cruisers, but not much. He has too many battle cruisers to support each other. And here comes Nicoke just helping and supporting him through it. Even though he doesn't really need it, it's good to have the extra firepower just in case. There's a couple turrets throwing in their way, but they go down so quickly. We look back at the Ancient One. He's not doing much. He's kind of defending, sitting it out while his buddies take it out. He has units on the ready just in case his friends need it, but until then, he's just sitting there watching as his friends obliterate the Zerg that are right down on the bottom right of the Terran base.
Very good move as far as the battle cruisers are concerned. They aren't taking them out, and we see those Wraiths kind of supporting the battle cruisers, but really they're just there for flavoring. There's not much that the Wraiths are really doing, but those scouts are handily taking out anything that the battle cruisers do miss. But it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that needs to be done with those battle cruisers. That science vessel is following them, and the battle cruisers just go, and the scouts are actually doing their part, taking out some Hydralisks before the battle cruisers maybe have to do anything about it. And we see those High Templars as well as those Archons just sitting there. We don't see much attacking from them. I don't believe we'll see a lot from them in the game, but they are there in case they're necessary. Those 4 colonies, again, just even at 4 times, they're not doing enough hits to really bring down any. And there was one battle cruiser casualty, but that's not enough to slow this advance. Again, if this was a real player, I think we would have seen a GG by now, but again, not much that the computer can do. They really don't know how to time it. We haven't heard much from Nicoke. What have you seen most of this game that might be a little bit interesting to our viewers?
You know, I think it's the work of the Alliance, really, all 3 working together and just kind of defending.
We see that high Archon, that regular Archon, just go down by that sunken colony, but it did do a great job of taking out some of the air defense, so he did pave the way, and there's the GG from the computer, which only means that they could have lost all their buildings. So, what do you say would definitely help out our viewers at home if they had to, you know, get a little bit more strategized, a little bit more unique in their gameplay?
Well, it all depends on what their race is, really, but if you plan on being the Terran, you saw what battle cruisers can do if you amass them. It's very expensive to do that, but if you can manage it, it's a very good strategy, because not very many things can take down battle cruisers. Even if you have a lot of air defenses, battle cruisers can attack from a far distance with their Yamato cannons, which is also a researched upgrade. If you are Protoss, you can choose to build a lot of cannons like the Ancient One did, and Nicoke did, or you can choose to build a lot of air units like Nicoke did. Also, the Ancient One built a lot of High Templars and Archons and stuff like that, just for ground units in case his friends needed them. If you are Protoss and you do favor ground units above air units, they are probably the best choice because they can't be seen unless there's a detector around. Zerg, when it comes to Zerg, the best thing to do is just mass as many units as possible and attack in full force. Though there is strategy behind it. If you do prefer strategy, there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's queens that can parasite things that go into bases. You can watch bases without them knowing, unless they detect the parasite. But even then, they might not even destroy it. So that's my information on what you could do strategically. As all the races, when it comes to battle cruisers, there's not much you can do to defend your base unless you know how to handle them.
We'll head to Nicoke next. She's giving me a little bit of a glare, but you know, my 2 cents is if you're really gonna play any kind of race, pick a strategy. You know, there is like the Zerg 9 pool. Go ahead and head for 7 drones. Throw down your Zerg spawning pool as quick as possible and harass the hell out of your enemy before they even get their economy up with some Zerglings. If that doesn't work for you, you can go for an Overlord 12 pool, which means you focus on your economy, get some Hydralisks up, and by then all you need is Zerg and Hydralisks. If you want to tech up to Ultralisks, they can be a pain in the rear as well. But really, you can either go Muta or anything. Mutalisks can be a pain with their multiple attacks, and they do make a return in StarCraft 2. So if you do like that, just tech up and find out what you can about each race. Protoss, again, they are a very hybrid mix of Terran and Zerg, so they have a very big offense and defense. They can do a lot, and I mean it's very costly, but they are very powerful, and they need very few upgrades in the end. So we'll see what Nicoke has to say about maybe some strategies. She's giving me like this newbie glare.
Well, really, like, all I can say is that just if you are Protoss, you have to work very quickly and expand, and you need to do upgrades like nobody's business. That's really what I've learned, even just making it.
Yeah, and as Nicoke said, it's a very smart idea. If you are Protoss, plan on expanding a lot. You need a lot of money. They are Vespene gas guzzlers. You need to make sure you get a lot of Vespene gas when you're Protoss. Make sure you get a lot of minerals too. Protoss is by far the most expensive race to produce, but if you do produce them and you do upgrade them to their maximum capacity, it's definitely a force to be reckoned with. Also, if you do upgrade buildings, it's a good idea to build more than one so you can produce more upgrades, as we saw the Ancient One do with his Temple Archives. So, back to you.
And one final thing I'd like to say before we head out of here. One other strategy I'd like to throw out there for the Protoss that I have seen very effectively. They play it in the pro tournaments as well. Get that Arbiter Dragoon combo going. I haven't seen many people play it, but what you can do is just spam those gateways. Get those gateways out there. Get the Stargates out there. Throw down some Arbiters. Hide your Dragoons and pick at them from afar with some observers. It is very scary, very effective, and can generally make Terran and Zerg quake in their boots and or scales. So that's it for our StarCraft 2.